Hello, this is Hector Vladimir Bello, today on September 13th, 2015, and I will be narrating a presentation I put together called Bicycle Accidents: How Bad, Why, How, and Prevention. There are five main topics that I will be covering in this presentation. First one is how bad, general statistics on accidents, severity of bike accidents, demographics of victims. The second topic is why bike accidents happen, the general known causes of bike accidents, and statistical main causes of bike accidents. Third topic is how bike accidents happen, basic, basic physics of bike accidents, physical response of bike accidents, and the conditions that lead to or contribute to bike accidents. The fourth topic I'm going to be covering is preventing bike accidents, coaching for safe operation, ride defensively always, remove or severely minimize the risk, ride away from vehicles, ride slower, ride during the day, avoid rush hour, fitness and hydration, and stretching. The fifth topic I will be covering today is prepare for possible accidents, wear protective gear, fitness and hydration, stretching, medical response, and financial response where applicable. These are the main topics. There may be uh, other subtopics that I will be covering that is not included here in this table of contents. As you go to the store and purchase your friend, child, nephew, or grandchild, or anyone else, or yourself for that matter, a bicycle helmet, knee pads, or any other protective gear for bicycle riding, you're attempting to minimize damage for a possible bicycle accident. However, we rarely take the time and spend the resources and money to prevent the accidents from happening in the first place, like buying bright clothes, warning flags, lights for your bike, um, and performing road safety training or safety mentoring for bike riders. We very rarely do these things. We often teach our kids to ride bicycles or anyone else, your friend, nephew, grandchild. We often teach them but fail to train them in how to be safe while riding, especially as they grow older and begin to ride bikes along cars, on residential drives, and even on busy roads. Bicycle accidents are serious occurrences that can maim or kill riders of any age, yet we rarely stop and think about how bad a problem this is in our community, how they happen, why they happen, and how to prevent them. Bicycle helmets help, but serious injury or death can be prevented the majority of times, in my opinion and my estimation, if not 100% of the time. This short presentation about bicycle accidents discusses the how, the why, the prevention methods, and the preparation uh, for possible bike accidents, especially as we speak here in the southeast of the United States. First, bike accidents. How bad is it? In 2013, there were 743 pedal cyclists killed and an estimated 48,000 injured in motor vehicle traffic crashes. Pedal cyclists' deaths accounted for 2% of all motor vehicle traffic fatalities, and injured pedal cyclists made up to 2% of the people injured in traffic crashes during the year. The number of pedal cyclists killed in 2013 is 1% higher than the 734 pedal cyclists killed in 2012. So there was an increase in 2013, and this increase was the third straight increase in pedal cycling fatalities, and a 19% increase since 2010, which is quite stunning. Some of the key findings, before I go any further, that the last piece was taken from the fact sheet, safety fact sheet from the Department of Transportation, DOT, which is quite thorough and comprehensive. Yet it's a short presentation of study findings of the last decade, which is quite good. I invite you to check the link and check it out. The 743 pedal cycling deaths in 2013 accounted for 2% of all traffic fatalities during the year. 68% of all pedal cyclists who died in motor vehicle crashes in 2013 died in urban areas. Over a 10-year period from 2004 to 2013, the average age of pedal cyclists killed in motor vehicle crashes has steadily increased from 39 years of age to 44. So riders are getting a bit older. Over time, the pedal cyclist fatality rate per capita per million people was almost 7 times greater for males than females in 2013. Alcohol involvement, either for the motor vehicle operator or the pedal cyclist, was reported in more than 34% of all fatal pedal cyclist crashes in 2013. So alcohol is apparently a huge factor. Of the pedal cyclists who died in 2013, 24% of them had a blood alcohol level concentration, BAC, of 0.01 grams per, I guess that's the measurement there for blood level and alcohol level in your blood, which is 0.01 grams per LD, or probably that's a load or something similar. If you want to go over these highlights for yourself, I've provided the link on the reference section of this presentation. Check it out at the end. Also, a 1989 study, going a bit further back, but yet this study that I'm going to discuss comes up in a few of the points that I will bring up in this presentation, and it's quite revealing and very applicable to today's situation with bike accidents. And this 1989 study was found that most serious brain injuries from bike accident victims were the ones that wore no helmets. And 85% reduction in risk of head injury could be achieved by wearing helmets. This is according to that 1989 study. And it was done with a confidence level of 95%. If a bike accident were to occur, 85% of the time, in basic terms, a major reduction of risk is possible if you wear a helmet. So it has been proven by studies that helmets do work. And again, this is from Thompson, 1989. Check it out on the references section of this presentation. The second topic that I want to cover, the second topic that I want to cover in this presentation is why bike accidents happen. And give me just 1 minute. This is not cooperating. Okay, here we go. So the second topic, why bike accidents happen. Some of the general known types of serious bicycle accidents include 1. Crashes with motor vehicles, 2. Crashes with other riders or stationary objects, and 3. Falls. So there are three main um, generally known accident um, categories there that I have concluded they exist or pulled out for you. Crashes with motor vehicles are the most often serious of all bike accidents. They're the most serious of all types of accidents that include bicycles for obvious reasons, and they often cause crippling injuries or death. Crashes with vehicles are the top source of deaths among bicyclists worldwide. Crashes with other riders may more often occur in areas where cycling is popular. As with vehicle crashes, head-on collisions are the most serious. But crashes with other riders often lead to loss of control and to crashes with vehicles or stationary objects, and or falls. Crashes with stationary objects can vary in severity depending on what object you hit or strike, such as a crash into a bush can cause very minor injuries, and crashing into a concrete column, of course, may cause permanent injury or even death, depending on speed and other circumstances factors. Falls are the most common accident on bicycles, and falls many times can lead to serious injury or death due to the surrounding hazards that may be present, such as moving vehicles, stationary objects, or dangerous terrain. For example, cliffs, rocky terrain, or bodies of water. A smaller yet real hazard are aggressive domestic and wild animals, from pet dogs to alligators. Although rare, animals can cause serious injury and even death to the unaware rider. These types of bicycle accidents happen because of 1. Exposure to each of the factors to various degrees, and 2. The lack of protective measure for each of the factors mentioned, knowingly or unknowingly. Bicycle accidents involving any of the above factors can be completely eliminated or at least minimized. While these types of accidents can happen because of 1. Exposure to each of the factors to various degrees, and 2. The lack of protective measure for each of the factors mentioned, knowingly or unknowingly. Bicycle accidents involving any of the above factors can be completely eliminated or at least minimized, while still being able to ride your bicycle. Once an injury accident is allowed to occur, whether due to ignorance or lack of protection or both, the accidents happen under specific circumstances. The specific circumstances of bike accidents include distracted driving and or drivers overlooking riders crossing the path of cars, knowingly or unknowingly, riders losing control, and riding at night exposed to traffic. Distracted operation of bicycles in part of the motor vehicle or the driver of the bike can be a common event, especially today in the wake of the many technologies and miniaturized devices, such as digital devices that can divert much needed attention away from the road and safe defensive behavior. Many bike for fitness reasons, and fitness activities are often accompanied by music through earphones. Music can be encouraging and relaxing, but also appears to take away attention and logical and quick judgment capabilities, which are critical when on the road, and perhaps quick judgment is more critical um, when you're out on the road in busy streets, but also music. If you have your ears covered with any kind of earphones, music device, music can mask critical sounds of your surroundings. And as a rider of bicycles and as a driver of a motor vehicle, uh, and music or any other sound may drown the sounds that could offer early warning and prevent accidents. Some of the sounds that could be masked by music or other sounds are the sound of an engine, motor car, tires, screeching or braking. You can hear sometimes the brakes of a vehicle from some distance away. You can miss horns or calls or whistles by other people, etc. Drivers may not be looking for riders, only other car-sized objects while driving. This is a known phenomenon and a major cause for car motorcycle crashes, which is, I believe, another major cause for motor car bicycle crashes. Also, a study found that the vehicle right turns into an intersection is a major cause for crashes with cyclists approaching from the right of the driver. This is because drivers are generally not expecting any vehicles coming from the right, which would obstruct their path. So when vehicles are turning right, their operators or drivers usually don't look to the right, or if they look, they do it in a way that they may miss much, especially a fast incoming bicycle rider. Too often, riders unnecessarily come close or into the path of motor vehicles to avoid rough terrain like grass, gravel, rocks, or wet areas. But these are hardly reasons to risk an accident and make contact with a motor vehicle or get into a crash or accident. The risk of getting struck by a vehicle is obviously increased the closer a bike rider gets to that vehicle or to the normal path of that vehicle. So at no point should a rider expect a vehicle to slow down, yield, or avoid the cyclists. You should not assume that driver is paying any attention and that they will try to avoid you or give you the space necessary. The contrary is often true, where drivers may not even be aware of a cyclist coming into their path due to a distraction, glare from the sun, or even not registering the situation as they should because of impairment, tiredness, or just a phenomenon called masking in their brain where they can see things but not right away register what they are. During driving, you only have split seconds to react in many situations, and you should not assume drivers are all alert and can make sound judgments in a short amount of time. And I will be going over this on the prevention section of this presentation. Often also, riders lose control and may fall and strike the ground, strike other riders, strike pedestrians, stationary objects, or even moving vehicles. This is another good reason to keep a good distance from moving or stationary hazardous objects like cars, solid structures, people, and other riders. You may lose control at any moment while riding, no matter what your expertise level is. Even world-class cyclists are known to have fallen for no apparent or obvious reasons. So loss of control and falling is common, and you should, as a rider and a driver, you should provide plenty of clearance between you, the rider, or the driver, and any obstacles. um, which are all obstacles and hazards are all contributors, of course, to bike accidents. Riding at night raises the chances of accidents several magnitudes due to obvious reasons, such as less visibility, which in turn increases the reaction time for both drivers and riders. Uh, People are usually less alert at night, and there are usually poorer surface conditions. And there are many other factors that make night riding quite uh, risky and not recommended. Riding at night can be said to be a major contributor to many bicycle accidents, so avoid it at all costs. There is a 1987 study that found that 84% of bike accidents happen less than 5 blocks from home. This is quite popular and known out there as far as my experience. So be extra careful, in my view, when you're close to home. Don't let down your guard and think you made it. Don't get complacent. I've had experience with this myself. Just recently, I was almost struck by a car uh, in a residential area here near home, um, because the driver apparently was blinded by glare and was driving extremely close to the curve where I was, and I had to I attempted to evade I did evade the vehicle by crashing into a a bunch of bushes there. But it was a call too close for comfort, definitely. So do not let down your guard, even when you're a few meters from home. For this study, the 1987 study I just mentioned, found that 49% of all bike accidents occurred, of all the studied bike accidents occurred um, in the streets. 36% of the riders reported issues with the surface they rode on. 45% of the studied cases lost control of the car, were involved in accidents where a control loss of the vehicle was a factor. 70% of the riders were struck by motor vehicles, and 10% were hit by other riders or pedestrians. 54% of the uh, accidents studied claim that they did not receive any kind of safety instruction for bicycle riding. Again, this is from Selps, 1987. Check the references at the end. Many studies show that cyclists and driver traffic and safe driving and riding errors lead to many of the accidents, perhaps most. So a majority of the cause of bike accidents and deaths can be attributed to ignorance and poor judgments, both preventable causes. And this is per Kim 2007. Check the references. Once an accident has occurred, a major cause for serious injury and death is the lack of wearing protective equipment, helmets, for example. And again, helmets are proven to work and to improve your chances of avoiding serious injury or even death. This is per Thompson 1989 and Robinson 1996. Okay, the next section that I would like to cover is how bike accidents happen. And as the survivor of a serious bike accident myself, I narrowly escaped a major bike accident. Um, I narrowly escaped major injury or even death. I only had minor injuries, and I consider myself extremely fortunate that this was the case. I can attest, due to this experience, to the violent forces that can accompany a bike accident involving a motor vehicle. Again, I was quite fortunate to this day to have escaped a crippling injury or death, but I did feel the pain and the violence that could be brought on by motor vehicles to the human body. In a hot May in 2000, if I can tell you this short story right now, I was on security bike patrol in the town of Miami in Florida. I was eager to buy lunch across the street from the shopping plaza that I patrolled that day. I considered myself quite knowledgeable on crossing busy roads, as I often did, especially on that job and many other instances. Simple, right? Just wait until there's no cars coming, and then just be careful and go ahead and cross the street. But just before I got off my bicycle to stop and cross the street at the end um, of the curve of that main road, a vehicle lost control and apparently swerved into the curve where I was toward me, and the vehicle hit my bicycle that I was just getting off of. I was not quite, my feet were not quite on the ground. I was just coming to a stop, probably very luckily. And the vehicle again hit my bicycle's front wheel. The vehicle crashed into me while screeching tires, and as I screamed, uh, the vehicle impacted the front wheel of my tire, apparently hurling me forward toward the vehicle into the windshield head first. At the time, I was not wearing a bicycle helmet, and hit the windshield with my upper right cranium. I don't remember the split seconds right after the initial impact, but recall regaining consciousness within seconds after impact. I was sitting down a few meters from the crash site and attempting to get up, dazed and confused. I remember a lady from a supermarket nearby came out running to help me and warn me that I had just been in an accident. Apparently, I did not know this. And she told me to sit back down, that I was bleeding badly, and told me that I had been hit and hurled into the air by the impact of the car. She said this. She said this, at the same time, hinting that I was extremely lucky to even be alive at that time. And within minutes, I was picked up and helped by rescue workers, taken to a hospital, where they luckily and very fortunately found me to have been just um, very mildly injured. I had a cut to my forehead. Um, my head did swell up, but it wasn't anything um, major, at least that they could find. No fractures, no kind of broken bones or any kind. Just a few scrapes and cuts that were easily cleaned and fixed. Um, that was my experience. Most that have gone through such uh, experience and situation, or perhaps at least a large amount of the people that go through such situation, do not have a happy story to tell, unfortunately. And it's quite sad and quite disturbing that these things happen on a daily basis worldwide. Many dozens of cases at least worldwide happening every minute um, throughout the world on with bicycle accidents. Motor vehicles could weigh more than from 2,000 to 10,000 pounds, depending on size and many other factors. And they may be moving at 30 miles an hour and more when they impact a cyclist during such accidents. So the forces involved in the impact of a 2-ton vehicle moving at 30 miles per hour, for example, which is about minimum, could be over 6,000 pounds of force. Quite a bit. So if we do a little bit of math and multiply the speed times the weight, which equals force, we get about 6,000 pounds of force, like I just mentioned. That could really hurt, and that is being very conservative. Road speeds at a busy street or road can often average 45 miles per hour or even exceed 60 miles an hour. So imagine how much more the force can be during a accident involving a vehicle and a bicycle rider. A study found that bicycle car crashes at speeds exceeding only 20 miles per hour, which is not much, are associated with the largest percentage of deaths for cyclists. This is per Kim 2007. Check the references. The human body can violently be accelerated in the opposite direction of travel as the impacting vehicle or object and cause serious damage to those body parts that tend to be accelerated slower than the rest, such as your head and the larger and internal organs like your brain, liver, lungs, etc. When oppositely traveling bodies collide, their acceleration in the opposite path of travel is added. So if you're traveling in opposite directions and you crash, you have to add those two speeds and masses multiplied together to make a total force, which is much higher than a body just traveling on the same direction as the struck object, or a body striking a stationary object. So a body that strikes a stationary object is not as damaging, obviously, as one hitting a object traveling in the opposite direction, regardless of speeds. Excuse me, regardless uh, of the speed of one object at least. If both objects are traveling at high speeds, of course, this would be more damaging than slower speeds. Hitting an object traveling in the same direction as you is, of course, less damaging. So for this, it is smart to stay away from any kind of traffic traveling in the opposite direction as a cyclist or object or anything else, or even other riders or pedestrians. You should try to avoid traffic altogether if possible, but if necessary, stay on the right side of the road here in the US, or travel with the traffic, not against it. The body responds to bicycle crashes depending on a variety of factors like speed, direction of travel of rider and the impactor, the mass of the impactor, the mass of the body of the rider, the contact surface area of the impactor and the rider, the energy absorption qualities of the impactor and the rider, etc. So there are many factors involved, quite complicated to even attempt to calculate the forces involved. But it is possible, and it has been found that it could be quite high. Injuries depend on a repertoire of factors, as I just mentioned, from fitness level, to age of the rider, to temperatures and conditions. And there are many, many other factors that could affect the amount of damage um, that could be acquired or uh, sustained by a rider involved in a crash. The most serious injuries and deaths are sustained by older riders, according to studies, and younger riders, not only due to their body composition, but their riding habits or behaviors. The psychological response to a bike accident can be traumatic for survivors. I know this firsthand, and this is due to the bicycle accident I just shared not long ago. Right after the accident, I felt fragile and afraid to even ride inside of a vehicle with someone else or on my own. And I felt this way again after the accident, nights and many weeks after that. I recall thinking every other car was going too fast. This is right after the accident. Um, and I felt afraid, and I felt it was extremely risky and dangerous to even be out driving on the road. This feeling lasted for weeks after the accident and slowly faded, but it did not fade completely, not to this day at least. Uh, almost 15 years on. Today I drive slightly slower than the average person and be a bit more careful than the average person to my belief. And I could tell, I know that the effects of any kind of accidents could be traumatic and can be long lasting, especially for some individuals. Others, of course, are exceptions. They do not have any or little uh, psychological effects from accidents, but I believe those cases are rare. The factors involved in the psychological effects of accidents are many and complicated, and would require a comprehensive work to explain and describe. So, um, nevertheless, this trauma should be at the very least another reason for persons, riders, to avoid accidents. But of course, the suffering and possible death or injury are the primary reasons to avoid these types of accidents. The best way to protect, this is covering the next topic, which is preventing bike accidents. The best way to protect against bike accidents is to avoid them altogether. For example, when have you heard of two elevators colliding? Never, because they are designed to stay in their track and only one car can be in the elevator shaft at a time. Although you cannot isolate yourself like an elevator car while riding a bicycle, of course, you can minimize your exposure to hazards. Ride away from opposite traveling vehicles is an example of minimizing risk while riding a bike, keeping good clearance from vehicles traveling in the same direction as you. And there are many other things you can do to minimize risk while riding a bike. I will discuss a few here next. The first here is to never assume that drivers will maintain their lane. Never assume they will move over for you or slow down. I recommend that you give them their way as if they do not see you or will not see you as a rider. So act as if they do not see you at all when you're around vehicles. And this should and will minimize your risk of being struck dramatically. Also, look back only when it is safe to do so. Um, if you must look back to watch for vehicles or other hazards, do so when you're away from any possible hazard. So if you're in a shoulder, attempting to look to see if there's any vehicles coming to come into the lane or anything like that, do not be near the lane, uh, the path. Excuse me. Do not be near the path of any vehicles, whether they're there or not. So if you're going to turn into um, a road and you want to make sure that there's no cars coming, pull away from the road and then look. Never look when you're close to the road because you may travel into the same direction as you look and potentially come into the path of a incoming vehicle that you may have not detected. So this is very, very important. Look back again only when it is safe to do so. Many riders will travel in the direction they turn their heads in, often into traffic. Keep away from the lane of traffic or any keep away from the lane of traffic of any vehicle whenever possible, even if you must go into the grass or rough terrain or slow down. Use all of your senses to detect hazards and other vehicles. Do not plug your ears or listen to music, as hearing is critical for detecting hazards such as vehicles, animals, pedestrians, riders, etc. Do not wear dark eyewear unless it is too bright to see well outside. Uh, Plan your routes and take the reasonably safest path, even if it adds miles and time to your trip. And ride during the day, during non-rush hours, and under dry conditions whenever possible. And watch the weather before you ride. Both during your trip there and trip back, you should take account of the weather, how it's going to be like. Ride as if no one can see you. Yield to vehicles or pedestrians as if they're trying to hit you. Assume every driver is a distracted and unreasonable driver. This should keep you much safer in the end. So follow those. Stretch and warm up prior to riding and perform strength training often. This is to maintain adequate body strength, especially upper body strength, in the case you need to respond to a dire situation physically. Bike riding is a physical sport, physical activity, so be ready to strain and to uh, attempt to uh, do maneuvers that require some physical ability. So don't be a couch potato and then get up and go ride 10 miles. It's going to be dangerous. Attempt to keep a low body weight, and this will help you better bike and have less mass in the event of a crash, and also will help you in the long run doing long haul or longer lasting rides. Keep your equipment, bike, and gear in good condition, such as brakes, tires, and attempt to use quality sportswear and quality equipment. This can be uh, a deciding factor in a dire situation. So attempt to have the best equipment possible. Keep hydrated, rested, energized with food and drink, and keep fit. These will keep you alert and help you make better decisions uh, and take and also even take accident avoiding action. Keep your protective equipment on while riding clearly. And this, of course, includes helmets, eyewear, gloves, and proper clothes and shoes. Again, helmets are proven to minimize severe head injury, and gloves generally give you a better grip and will protect your skin in case of a fall. Eyewear again is important because bugs and debris are bound in the open air, and flexible and weather appropriate clothing can be critical for sudden maneuvers. Proper shoes are highly recommended as they may help you keep your feet on pedals and protect your feet in case of a fall or crash. Wear bright colored clothes. It will help others see you. Also, wear bright colored gloves if possible, and make sure to signal your intentions, such as turning, yielding, stopping, or going ahead. Communication helps quite a bit in the avoidance of accidents. Don't get curved in. Uh, don't remain on a narrow shouldered road that has a curve, meaning a raised concrete step or a sidewalk step. Um, since getting off the road when this curve is present is difficult and may prevent you from avoiding traffic. So don't get cornered in a curved road. Go on top of the sidewalk if there is one, or go on top of the surface that's above the road. Do not remain on the bottom because you may get sandwiched in by incoming traffic. Preparing for possible accidents. Okay, moving on to the next topic. When you ride, keep in mind that a crash could happen despite your best efforts. It could happen anytime. So be prepared for any kind of bicycle accidents with protective equipment. Have it on. Be physically prepared. Again, be fit. Be uh, have less weight on you, or be remain at a healthy weight at least. Be mentally prepared. Uh, Again, think. Don't think like you're gonna have an accident the minute you get out the door, but have it in mind, have it in the back of your head that it can happen. That way you can take more precaution and try to avoid it all the time. Um, and also attempt to have medical insurance ready and perhaps life insurance uh, in case of the worst. You want to be as prepared as possible. This is where applicable. I understand many countries have free insurance services for medical and life in some instances. Protective equipment should always be worn while riding for obvious reasons, such as helmets, gloves, biking shoes, and bright flexible clothing that is adjusted to weather. Um, Use your judgment to pick your clothing when you go out riding. Practice looking back without losing control or changing your path of travel at all. You can do this when there's no traffic or hazards present. So this is something you should practice doing, looking back and looking for hazards without changing your path of travel. It will be um, a very necessary skill to master. So practice it. Ensure others know your route. For example, at home or whoever you live or whoever's your next of kin. Make sure they know where you go and when you are supposed to return. Uh, that way, if something were to happen, they can go and try to help you. This is especially true for people that live in remote areas where hospital help is very remote, or during uh, times where there's almost no traffic, or in roads where there's hardly any traffic, you want to have a lifeline to come help you in case you need it. Wear ID tags or medical tags, or both, while you ride. These are tags that have your identification information and any kind of medical information that may be necessary to help you out in case of an accident. That could be the only way strangers could help you, by using those tags. Some of them may not even be able to offer medical assistance such as first aid. So having a tag that describes how to give first aid is could be a lifesaver, literally. Be ready to perform first aid on yourself or others, especially if you ride in groups. Ride in a group whenever possible. Bigger packs of cyclists are tend to get noticed a lot more than single riders. However, do not follow group behavior if unsafe behavior is occurring. Break from the group if your group is acting in an unsafe manner, such as riding too fast for the conditions uh, and unnecessarily close to traffic. For example, group behavior tends to have followers, and these followers mimic leaders or a leader, even if their behavior is inappropriate or unsafe. This is due to the conformity phenomena. Avoid rush hour traffic again, very important. This minimizes your risk considerably, so avoid those and avoid heavy traffic roads. When possible, plan your route through residential roads and carry a warning device, or be ready to whistle or warn others. A warning device such as a blowhorn or is recommended over being able to whistle, because you may not be able to whistle. Your mouth or your lungs or stomach may be hurt to where you're not able to whistle. Also, attempt to carry dog repellent spray or animal repellent spray, and be ready to spray down any kind of animal or dog, aggressive dog or animal that may be trying to harm you or bite you. Be sure to only spray dogs that clearly are attempted to bite you or harm you. And please do not spray dogs that only look for a quick chase, or they just need a little bit of attention from someone. Um, be careful not to let dogs or any other animals make you lose control or lose focus from traffic or other hazards that may be more critical. And stop if need be. If a dog is chasing you and it's not too much of a threat, stopping may be the best thing you do. Uh, Also, watch for drivers during sunsets and sunrises, since these times during the day could blind some drivers, especially if they have dirty windshields, which are often many of them. If they wear glasses or if they just can't see very well, they could affect your driving skills of many drivers, and they can miss you and even strike you if you're on a bicycle uh, in traffic close with them. So be alert, be defensive, and be smart. Always make the safest choice in any situation while riding. And don't allow others to keep you safe. Keep yourself safe at all times. Keep safety in your control. It is your body, it is your future. Do not leave it up to others or anyone out there on the road with you. So, this concludes this presentation. Um,
This presentation on bicycle accidents, how bad, how, why, how, prevention, and preparation for any type of bicycle accident. This has been a general presentation of the many aspects of a bicycle accident. It is an introductory presentation about accidents that prepare you very basically to um, prevent uh, these types of accidents. We covered how bad bicycle accidents are, some of the statistics on those types of accidents, the severity of bicycle accidents, and some of the demographics of the victims of bicycle accidents. We covered why bicycle accidents happen in a very broad sense, um, general known causes of bike accidents, and statistical main causes of bike accidents. We also covered how bike accidents happen, the basic physics of bike accidents, physical responses to bike accidents, and the conditions that lead or contribute to bike accidents. We also covered preventing bike accidents, coaching for safe operation, ride defensively always, remove or severely minimize the risks, such as riding away from vehicles, riding slower, riding during the day only for the most part, and avoiding rush hours. We discussed how fitness and hydration and stretching can help. And we discussed briefly and broadly how to prepare for possible accidents or bike accidents by wearing protective gear, by being fit and hydrated, and energized, rested, by stretching again, preparing for a medical response, and a financial or life insurance, medical insurance response where applicable. If I could just quickly cover another main point that I did not cover during this presentation is coaching. Uh, Spread the word. Make sure others know how to ride safely. If someone rides a bicycle, even if it's in your residential area and nowhere else, make sure they know what to look for, what to avoid, what not to do, what to do, where to go. Um, Make sure they know to wear their protective equipment. Make sure that they know to avoid cars at all costs. Make sure they know not to let others control their safety. Make sure they know that their safety should be in their hands and they should avoid hazards at all costs. This type of coaching will very severely minimize the risk. You know, as we found out, over close to half of victims of bicycle accidents do not receive any kind of safety training, any kind of safety direction when out cycling or riding a bike. Um, this has been, again, a very brief and broad introduction to bicycle accidents. I hope you review the references provided here in this presentation and do your own research and expand on this very broad topic of bicycle accidents. I hope you have learned something and apply many of the uh, things that are advocated here in this presentation about bicycle and bicycle riding safety. Thank you for listening or watching, and hope to see you again on my next show, my next presentation. Again, this has been Hector Vladimir Bello in September 13th, 2015. Thank you.